welcome back, everyone, to another Helm to Tower podcast. That's right, we're back. It's been a while since we've talked about Destiny 2, the video game. Hello, I am Mike Burgess with Auri O'Neill. As always, we got it going. Talking about catching up with the the happenings of everything going on in the world of Destiny 2. Yeah, because I'll straight up say it. I had to rewatch bits of our last episode before recording this to like catch up my own brain, because I've admittedly just not been in the Destiny brain space. And I think that's just, because, I think if you're somebody that follows and plays Destiny or has listened to this show, you're well aware of like the current state of Destiny is like, hey, there's not much going on. We're on, they obviously Final Shape's pushed back, so we're just we're in this period now. We know where we're at, and granted, we have some things that have come and gone that we're going to talk about. Like I said, we're going to play some catch up with some of the Destiny news that has happened. It's nothing, I would say something like earth shattering, but some cool things.
Yeah,
and we also have the recent TWABs have detailed us this. It seems like I guess you could call it like a big mid-season kind of update the game's getting in early March, the first week of March. I'm dubbing this patch the, oh god, we had to push back Final Shape, we already had stuff together, let's get this, we can put this out, come on, oh god. That's probably what a lot of the stuff is, at least like that's kind of the vibe I'm getting from all this stuff, because it's pretty standard like stuff that we get at the start of a new season, right, where it's like, hey, here's like new weapons coming to these playlists, new like some balance tuning and other things, but there's some other bigger things, like there's like a big PvP kind of change / overhaul, you could even say, coming with this March 5th update that you told me you have a lot of takes on. So we'll definitely I'll let you have the floor with that, because I am totally indifferent, because I've like not really touched PvP in any meaningful capacity since and I also have not like really done any like checkmate stuff, and it seems like a lot of it falls in that camp to an extent of trying to blend some of the aspects of that happening. But yeah, we'll get into all that but first, before that, Ari, have you been playing like Destiny really much at all yourself, or like what have you been doing since the last episode in regards to the game?
Yeah, I have been playing,
Okay.
I check in. What I've been trying to do mostly is like get our weekly raid night going again, basically.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like I'm happy. Like we finished the season. We talked about the end of the season, right?
Yeah, that was our last episode. We kind of like wrapped up the seasonal stuff. Mm-hmm.
Tell you how much I remember what we're talking about.
Pretty much.
And I really liked the story this season. I liked this season overall. But like, yeah, the thing is, listen, people out there, like, you're not obligated to, like, when they're done with that stuff, it's okay to take a break. We've talked about this before. It's like actually good to take breaks.
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a break. Obviously, I knew Persona 3 is coming out. That's coming out. Some things happened also, unfortunately. Things.
Yeah.
That folks that follow me might know about. So I was like, all right, this is like a good time to break away from Destiny. But I also think like these kind of downtimes is like good to like just lean into the social aspect of it. So I've been trying to get a weekly raid night going. So we did, and you've jumped in.
I've been in like one or two. I've done one or two of the raid nights.
So, and that's fun. I think like that's like ideally in Destiny off season, that's like my perfect place to be. Of like, I did all this stuff. I checked all my boxes. I got all my triumphs. The Moments of Triumph stuff came out, and I just like need one thing to do. I think I'm gonna just do the fishing because it seems like I can do that by myself, and
hell yeah.
It seems really easy, and then that's done, and I have that title. Like the only thing that I have to get done before June that I'm dreading is Legend Avalon.
Yeah, I've been going back and forth. I've been going back and forth on doing that as well. I was definitely thinking about it too. That's me. I have as well left to do.
Yeah, because then that gives me Queensbreaker, or not Queensbreaker, Queensguard, that title.
Yeah.
Literally the only thing I have left for that. And then I just have to get more kills with the Season of Witch weapons, and that gets me Hex or whatever, Hex Witch, whatever that title
Yeah, whatever
was.
that season was, yeah.
And then I think I already have the title, or I have to do Legend, whatever this season's exotic mission is. And then I have that, and you were our experiment where you did it after all the quests were out and got everything.
Just got everything at once. It was great.
Which is great. I have to do Legend Avalon 3 times, so dreading that.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna accept my fate on that one, and maybe I'll do it once and then to get the title as well, and then I'll just get whatever option they give us at some point to get the rest of those exotics post that, because I'm assuming the mission will still be in the game if they stick to
the rotator, I assume,
right?
And then you'll probably still have to do it on Legend, isn't it?
Yeah,
so like
I'm
like ready to just fucking get it over with, dude.
Yeah,
if like Vexcalibur is like a weapon I adore, is the thing. So like that's the only reason that I'm like obligating myself to do it, but it's like one of my favorite exotics, at least from last year. So I've got that, I've got this kind of very basic checklist. Maybe I'm not committing myself to it, but maybe I will try and solo Warlord's Ruin.
Okay, nice.
Because I did the other ones. I've done everything but Ghost of the Deep, so
yeah,
I did Duality, right?
Yeah.
Like if I could do that, I can do anything.
Yeah, pretty much. I would consider this one like probably easier to do than Duality, at least from my kind of general knowledge of it. I would imagine, but yeah, I thought about it too, but I don't know. Maybe once I feel like I'm also in that break mode, which like you said is nice to take. Of just like I'm just been playing other stuff, or just not even like really doing like as much like gaming or playing other games in general, and just kind of I've already done a good amount of my Destiny checklist, because I think
prep?
I haven't done bounty prep yet. I might do it. I don't know. I'm hoping. There's part of me that's hoping that they maybe introduce the thing that I remember they mentioned something that would make that less of a thing by the time we find a shape. Yeah, so I'm hoping that's like going to be like actually what it is, and we don't have to do it, and it's like cool, sweet.
Yeah.
But who knows?
So yeah, we did Rooted Nightmares a couple times. We got I did Vow of the Disciple, finished that over the weekend. God, what a raid.
Yeah, still really good.
Phenomenal experience, front to back. Again, Acquisition, the third encounter is like just 10 out of 10. It is the music, the fighting, the frenetic nature of it. The fact that like when you do it right, it's done in like 8 minutes. It's just, it is exactly what I want out of like a momentum-based encounter. Like the gauntlet in the first raid for D2, Leviathan. Was it Leviathan?
Yeah, Leviathan.
The gauntlet walked so Acquisition could run, basically, is my thought process of like kind of getting everybody on the team involved. And
that's a good way to put it.
Making it feel like so cool. And, it's like a highlight reel of all the raid artifacts and everything. And then we did a little bit of King's Fall. We were like taking someone new through it, but we were unable to finish. And I feel like we did one more, but I don't know. We did Last Wish. We got our Last Wish run in there.
I think we got that.
As always, great.
Yeah, still a really good raid. Still really fun.
So like I love the raids. I realized like when we were like doing this and we were taking this new person through them, it's like, oh yeah, there's 8. There's 8 of them, and
still
they're all so
raids.
different, and they're so cool. So it's really just been that, and that's like perfect. Like one raid a week, like 2 to 2.5 hours a week of Destiny, and it's all raiding with 5 of my friends is like peak Destiny for me. That's a great balance relationship with it, I think.
For sure.
And it's a great way to pass the break time. Like get in there one night a week, do a raid, have a great time, catch up with some friends, and then get out and do it all over again next week. Like that's kind of where I'm at with it. But I took some time over the last week or so to like kind of catch up with all these patch notes and things like that. And see how I felt about them, which is mostly good, like generally
Yeah,
positive.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's good to hear. Yeah, I've been definitely taking overall a similar approach to if Destiny playing if I do it all. Like I want to say since the last episode I did finish all the GMs for the season. So
Oh, that's right, you
I'm
did.
gilded.
Yeah.
I'm gilded conqueror number 11, the big 11.
Whew.
Overall, this I honestly think they were like they ended up all not being as bad as I thought they'd be. The one I will still say is like I still am not the biggest fan of is like of Shadows. That
Sure.
one is still just kind of like it's like the meatball after the meatball and all this
Yeah.
other kind of junk that's in there is just like less
Now that
fun.
we've done
But
that,
it's
like I have that point of reference for it for sure.
yeah, like I think that's still like the pain point, and it's like surprising considering how I still much feel down about
Yeah.
things like the freaking battlegrounds and stuff. But like those weren't as bad because they had like strategies and things around them that like made them like more manageable. And like they can totally make some of those strategies like moot, but that would like completely ruin like grandmasters in my opinion if they went the route of like doing like making some changes to make them less cheesable, I guess you could say, because like how can you like I don't know. But anyway, like overall though, like I think I had an okay experience with those this season. And it's like weird now because they, we'll talk about it with these notes, but like they're putting new weapons into the playlist. And now there's going to be new weapons to go get. And I don't know if I'm like super driven to do that without having the chase of the gilding everything too at the same time. Like it might just be a thing where I just wait and because they'll still probably be in the rotations when Final Shape hits. So, and then there'll be more new weapons on top of that. So, like, in some ways, I almost might just wait because then it's like, oh, there's a ton new. Like, then there'll be like 3 or 4 new weapons to get in the Grandmaster rotation once
That's
Final
both
Shape
worlds,
Final Shape hits, and depending on how they do it, I guess, because who knows, they could make a lot of changes to how what Grandmasters work in seasonally because we're getting episodes. So who knows how that'll change if at all? I don't know.
Fair.
But yeah, I did that like a few weeks ago, so that was that, and like honestly, like unless we do I have the time to jump into one of our weekly raids you've been setting up. Usually my Destiny playing is I log in on Tuesday, grab 8 Vanguard bounties to get some bright dust on each of my characters, and I log out, and then that's pretty much been my Destiny playing like for like the past like couple weeks. And they did mention this, like transmog bounties are going to be getting restocked with this March 5th update, I believe. So you'll be able to do another 10 transmog bounties from then until Final Shape. So I'll probably do those because fuck it, why not? Yeah.
I'm actually low on Synthwave now, so it's like I should do those.
Yeah, so like I'm probably gonna do that. But other than that, like that's like I've been taking it pretty chill with Destiny. I've been playing other stuff like Helldivers 2 and other game I've been covering a decent amount on this channel, Wayfinder, which has been fun to play and kind of pass the time because it still kind of can scratch the Destiny itch to an extent, but it has like its own stuff that I enjoy quite a bit in terms of gameplay and stuff. So that's kind of Destiny wise. Where I'm at with the game itself and playing, enjoying the downtime. I know there's people out there who would like more stuff to do, and it seems like there will be at least like some minor things. Because like we said, there's going to be like that. I believe it's March 5th is the day the game's going to get like a bunch of balance changes. Again, they're going to like restock the transmog bounties, and they're also going to be adding new weapons to the to Nightfalls. Trials, and I believe Iron Banner is the other thing they're doing there. I believe it. Well, we're going to go through it in these because I've grabbed up all the TWABs more or less since the last episode we recorded, I believe. And I'm going to, not go over every single detail, but I'm going to skim through some of these real quick. Because there are like other important news bits. Like one major one is that since the last episode, we have learned that Joe Blackburn is going to be stepping down as the game director from Destiny 2 now that the Final Shape has essentially they've internally have it kind of complete, and now they're just doing like QA on it. I think is how they put it in his final words. So he's gonna be like kind of taking a step away. I think he's. I don't know if this has been like fully. If I don't know what exactly is happening, but I know I think he's leaving Bungie entirely, or is he? I'm not sure if he's moving on to a different project in Bungie. I don't remember if that was what's happening.
He's stepping away from Bungie entirely. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know like that. I remember at the time it brought up a lot of like speculation about like, oh, this is people. So he's leaving. Is this being something bad? I don't necessarily think so. I think it's maybe just it's the end. It's the end of the. It's again, Final Shape is being positioned as a end of this big era for Destiny, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of other people that have been working on Destiny for many, many years that are also in the same boat of just like, yeah, this is this would be the moment, and let like a new team kind of take control and take the reins and take it in a different direction. And
yeah,
then,
I bet he was planning to do this for a while.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree
I don't
with
know
that
for sure, but
yeah, I don't think so either. But I wouldn't be surprised if that like it's as simple as that of like he had always planned to just work on Destiny till this moment, and then go out with this kind of final piece of it.
This brings up, and like obviously Joe's had like a huge influence on the game, and he came in. He became director at Beyond Light, right?
I think Beyond Light. I think it was starting after Beyond Light. Like it was like basically he came back to Bungie and started working on the game once Beyond Light had launched, more or less. So I don't know if he worked directly on Beyond Light, but I think he kind of took the direction that like we've had since then, more or less.
Because I would say like Beyond Light, obviously Shadowkeep was the actual beginning of like this era of Destiny, I think.
Right.
But Beyond Light was like more structurally and like deliverance as a service video game.
Yeah.
When it became the
reset
game
it a
it
lot.
is now.
Yeah.
But like I don't know if you saw it. Bungie's been trending a lot on Twitter this week for stupid reasons, but
yippee. What's new?
We don't even have to get into it. But a lot of people are like, because Helldivers is successful, Sony is bad for canceling the Last of Us factions and buying Bungie. It's like, you guys really don't know how this works.
Yeah, you don't understand. Like, I'm sure I was like briefly watching a stream, a similar note of like watching Astrocross stream some Helldivers this morning. Just had it on the background, and he, of course, Astrocross, you can think of him what you will. I know some people don't like him. Some people think he's fine, but like he so occasionally will have some takes I definitely don't agree with. This would be one of them where he basically just was like, it's just like, he started talking about like, man, it's interesting to see Helldivers like take off, and would think about how if Helldivers 2 came out, if like, because before the final shape was delayed, it'd be coming out pretty much like the week we're talking, more or less. That's it was crazy. like February 27th, I think was the original date or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's right.
But he was like, think of how if Helldivers 2 and Destiny 2 Final Shape are competing right now. I don't know if Destiny 2 would be able to take it on. It's like, all right, man, let's roll it back. Let's roll it back a little bit. And like a bunch of people in his chat were saying even dumber stuff. So I just kind of like, that was a moment when he said like, that I changed to a different stream because I was just like, come on, man, like come on, like let's be real. Hold on a second here. This is kind of. You would not be streaming Helldivers 2 if you for a fact exactly. he would have not been streaming Helldivers 2 if Destiny 2 was
getting raid ready is what he'd be doing.
Final Shape was in there. Come on.
That and like this idea that Sony fucked up by canceling the Last of Us factions because Helldivers is doing well. Like there is just like this disconnect of like understanding how this works. Like,
and how these games are made.
Especially like with all the layoffs that are happening right now. It's like you got to really appreciate the context of like, hey, maybe like Naughty Dog did that because like they don't want that to happen, right? And people still got laid off, right? So stuff like that. But in this, we did hit the 10-year or 11-year anniversary of the original Destiny Vidoc.
Oh wow!
Like this is it, and I watched it again. It's like 10 minutes or whatever, maybe less.
Right.
And man, like I understand that there is so much cynicism around Destiny with people that have been playing it for so long. as there is with everything, like even there's like a book series that I've read that it's like 2 out of 3 are out, and we've been waiting like 16 years for the third book, and everyone's pissed about it because of course it's been so long.
And now it can never live up to those expectations.
Exactly.
So people are just gonna be pissed regardless and whatever. Yeah.
And it's like, I just don't want to engage on that level. Like, let the author do what they want to do. So, like, I understand you're disenfranchised with Destiny at this point or whatever. You don't like the game anymore because you put 2,000 hours into it. I think that's a little bit of a silly, non-self-confronting perspective. But, what do I know as someone who has also put 2,000 hours into the game? But they did the damn thing. They said in that Vidoc, like, this is our 10-year plan. How do you make something bigger than Halo? You just got to try and see what happens. And here we are 10 years later from Destiny launching in 2014. Almost 10 years, obviously. It's September and we're in February. And I, like, really feel like they did it.
I would agree.
And, like, they in that Vidoc, they talk about how that something came and decimated the Golden Age. And it's like, we're in the game and we know what it was now, and we're facing that villain, and like we're preparing for that fight now. And that's so cool. I just like I really can't point to anything else in video games and be like, that's just like this, right? And I remember hearing that and thinking it was so ambitious and so impossible. And obviously things have changed for sure. Like Activision was a big part of that. There was going to be multiple games, more games than there are now,
right?
More expansions, different things. But like, we have Destiny, we have 8 raids in Destiny 2 that we're just talking about. There are all these like incredible experiences. Say what you will about them, but like, I think they're all really unique and really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And we're coming up on the final shape. This is the end type deal of at least this thing that they set out to do, and it's going to keep going. And I'm sure on some level they wanted to get to the 10 years and keep going. And just that they have like, they set it, they laid it out and they called the shot, and now we're here at the end and it's still going and people still give a shit, and we're doing this podcast and we're talking about it, and we're excited. Like, you and I are going to be there for that raid, and our little squad is going to do it, and we're going to fight the Witness, and it's going to be crazy and epic, and we've built to it over years. It was very moving to see that and think that like, oh, it can work out sometimes. Like, we can make a thing happen in games in this capacity and like deliver it, whether you are satisfied with that, and whether it has issues or not. There's certainly conversation to be had there, but it's really impressive. It's really cool. There's nothing like Destiny. I really think that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Definitely, I think there be some people who like maybe think that's a hot take to say Destiny's bigger than Halo, but I think at this rate, like, it absolutely is. Like, there are more people, especially now, right? Exactly. Like, there was a moment in time where Halo, like, and I think there's a lot of people who are definitely disenfranchised Destiny players that came from Halo and have a lot of nostalgia for that series. And like, I have nostalgia for that franchise too, because I played Halo when they were the thing, and like they were like a big part of me getting into video games in general as much as I am. So like, I get it to an extent, but also like, yeah, there's so many more people who play Destiny who like probably never touched Halo to begin with, but now I've like played Halo because of those games, or like Bungie, and like there's like tons of people who like had that experience. And even to this day, like, I think there's still plenty of people who just like, just got into Destiny and still just play Destiny and like Destiny, or were much younger and then like just found Destiny and like are into it now and like never touched a Halo game or whatever. And so like, I think like, this like, I think it is bigger than Halo is at this point, as in terms of video games, maybe in the broader culture of the world, it may be less so.
Maybe different, but like, how many Destiny clones are there? Like, how many Suicide Squads and Battle Passes and all these things that like in the console gaming space exist in some way because of Destiny, right? such a massive impact. Maybe to the detriment of the entire industry. But
Yeah, maybe like, it all wasn't all for it, but I think like Destiny
sure.
has persisted in a way that I think like shows that like these, when you do them right and correctly and make them interesting and engaging, they can last and have a vision. They can be here from 10 years ago and still be going, and we'll still probably be going for at least a couple more years, I'd imagine. We don't know. We'll have to see if it can persist another 10 years. Maybe less maybe less likely, but you never know. We'll just have to keep seeing. But let's keep moving here in the TWAB. I'll leave a bit of. Joe kind of, I think his last words were more on Twitter rather than here. Mm-hmm. But this TWAB was basically just saying like, hey, and they also alluded to this. This is, while our friendship with Joe continues on, so does the closing and polish process of the final shape, our episodes, and our future redacted plans. So there's like another indication that again, like Destiny will keep going even beyond the episodes that are planned. Mm-hmm. So that'll be interesting for sure for Destiny. And then of course,
excited to see that. Yeah.
Yeah. They, now taking over the game direction helm is somebody named Tyson Green. He has been in a few of the Vidocs and stuff, and like has been around Destiny for long. He worked on like Halo and Myth and stuff, so he's been at Bungie for a while, and he's worked on like Destiny stuff. I forget exactly off the top of my head, but like somebody brought up like some of the actual things he worked on in terms of Destiny. I know he was like on like the original. I think he was on like he was definitely one of the leads for like the original Destiny 2 launch, and then like some other stuff throughout that, like some of the more recent seasons he's been more at the helm. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he gave a little bit of words here. So I'll just these are his words from the TWAB. He says, "My time working with Bungie started with Myth 2 back in 1998 and has carried through almost every product we've released since. I have been pleased to be a part of Destiny from essentially the beginning, from early days introducing loot to our shooter culture, and to more recent days guiding the brilliant team responsible for the breadth of Destiny's core systems, reward, combat, activity, social, and commerce systems." So he's more on the reward side overall, which is definitely interesting. Joe,
his title in the Vidocs was, I think, Systems Creative Director.
Gotcha. Cool. Interesting. Joe has always brought a lot of energy and creative vigor to the team, and it has been a pleasure to work on Destiny with him as a teammate and as a friend. I expect we're going to miss him terribly. To step into his role is humbling, but also energizing, and I look forward to carrying on his work in service to our players and our team. My passion as a developer has always been to build and support build the supports around which a community can grow. I came to Bungie from the fan community and aspire to build things that players can share as common interest, from Halo 3's Forge and file share systems to Destiny's build crafting and Fireteam Finder. I am proudest of the things that bring our community together in collaboration. I look forward to more such opportunities in the final shape and the years of Destiny beyond. So cool. Again, he's been around. He's pretty much been on Destiny since its inception. It sounds like he's been at Bungie for even longer. So I'm sure he has the knowledge and experience, and wherewithal to just take this helm. So yeah, curious to see. Again, with the nature of the beast of Destiny, is like we probably won't see a lot of that until maybe until we start seeing more of the episode content, and maybe even what's beyond the episode content, as they're alluding to here about like what a Destiny looks like under the Tyson Green direction. But we'll just have to see. But yeah, again, this again, constant. I feel like they kind of keep saying without saying it, where like they're gonna keep trying to make Destiny stuff. With the episodes that are coming, and whatever will be beyond that. I'm assuming when they say future redacted plans, I would imagine those are like an expansion or something, or like a new game entirely. Who knows what that exactly means at this point? But clearly there's more. They're doing more Destiny things post the final shape this later in the summer, and then we have 3 episodes to go into the following year in 2025. So
and there will be something after that.
There will be more things continuing after that. We'll just have to wait and see what they are.
There will probably be more guns.
More guns. You'll probably shoot some things. Yeah. So probably do a raid or do a dungeon or something. There'll be more stuff.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to see how that goes. But best of luck to Joe wherever he goes and the Destiny 2 team, what they're doing. So looking forward to it.
Yeah.
After that, this is now in game, but this was in the TWAB when it was revealed. We got the Mass Effect collaboration armor that's finally in. I'm sure. I think I saw you already picked up the Warlock set. I'm sure. Did you?
I haven't.
Oh,
but
you haven't
only
yet,
because
okay.
I'm poor.
Yep.
Not because I don't want it.
Yeah, I kind of feel that too. Like I've definitely looked at that armor and been like, I want it. I definitely think I might get some of those sets, like at least like the Titan
I will
and
get
the
Lyra
Warlock
set
one,
for
but
sure.
But I haven't pulled the trigger on those either yet. I'm thinking I've definitely been considering it though because I like the Titan set quite a bit. It's a really good.
It's very good.
Really good.
They're all good.
Really good set.
I love this. I hate that it's $20, but
Of course. Yeah, those are $20 as per usual with the things, but there is some free stuff you can go get. A part of this, they made the Sparrow, the Ghost, and the ship that you would normally get for these free for everybody. So it's just a bundle of those three things. You can go buy those on or just go claim them for free on the store. In the Bungie store now, which is pretty cool, and those are little nice things because like the ship, the ship of course looks like the Normandy, but it's like a Destiny-ized version of it, so it's not just like a one for one.
The ship is a mock up of the Alliance ships from Mass Effect 3. It is not a Normandy.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
If it
good
I would have spent money on it.
Yeah. Okay, good to know. But I do.
There's like fighter ships in Mass Effect 3 that are like kind of filler stuff, and it's one of those. But
okay, gotcha. Good to know. I've not brushed up on my Mass Effect as much as you have because I've not played them.
Okay.
I played them.
Know it all. We all know it.
I played them when they came out, but I do not have I've not played them since then.
It's Mass Effect 3 as well, so it's like I understand.
But
game's great.
Yeah, and then the Sparrow itself, which I was really like, is like a mini Mako, which is really good. I like that a lot.
Which is very good.
Yeah, it's really good. You can see like the little tires on it and everything. I've been driving around it already. On my but yeah, that's fun. So yeah, those are for free. You can go get that as well. The ghost is very good as well.
Little Edie with the hair down. So funny.
Yeah. So yeah, fun, and it's nice of them to make those things free. Still trying to do a little make good for a lot of the monetization stuff and just all the negative news that kind of came out of Bungie for a while. So it's good on them. So a couple other things I'll skim through real quick. The rest of this TWA was mainly about updates coming to Fireteam Finder. We won't have to get every details, but like the biggest thing to come out of that was Fireteam Finder they're gonna be updating the Destiny companion app to like basically be more like set up like Fireteam Finder is to like set up stuff through that companion app, so you can set up like Fireteam Finder like matches or raids and dungeons and other things like that.
Yeah,
as well.
It's funny because like the companion app was effectively the LFG from Bungie.net.
Yeah.
And it was effectively the LFG before Fireteam Finder, and then in-game Fireteam Finder became that, and now the app is getting the more updated UI of Fireteam Finder from the game. So it's like just kind of Ouroboros itself back into itself. So
yeah. So yeah, that we'll have to see for that. That's cool though. Like I'm sure people like I've not admittedly used Fireteam Finder really much at all myself, but it seems like something that like people generally like in the game. That's been nice to see. So that's cool.
It should have been there sooner. It's just even if you hate it or have a bad experience, or like for certain things you're like I don't want to be with randoms.
Right.
It is like a thing that should be there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. But yeah, that's our first catch up to WoB. Let's we can move on here to our next one.
February 1st, I think.
That was the February 1st TWAB. This next one doesn't have as much as that one did, to be fair. The big thing with this was they're updating. They're going to be adding some new weapons to the loot pool for the season, for the remainder of the season. Again, I think this then definitely falls into that category. Like I mentioned at the top of the episode, was like, hey, they probably already had some plans for like, the usual seasonal refreshes for when the final shape dropped, but then they, because of the pushback, now they're just doing a lot of it now because they already had it in motion. So let me go through these quick. So Trials of Osiris, Iron Banner, and Nightfall are getting 2 new weapons each. And then also, as you mentioned, like they go into the swap is they're just adding 2 new weapons. They're not removing weapons yet from the pool. So you'll still be able to go get all the currently available weapons from these pools, from Trials, Iron Banner, and Nightfalls. They're just adding 2 more additional weapons you can go chase after as well. And then I think for all of them, for Trials and Iron Banner, it is one new weapon and a reprised weapon with, I think, assuming just updated rolls and things like that. So for Trials, you're getting the Prophet Scout Rifle. It's an aggressive stasis scout rifle that's coming to Trials, and as well as the Summoner Solar Auto Rifle is coming back. So that'll be for Trials. Iron Banner is getting the Tusk of the Boar Strand Grenade Launcher. It's a wave frame grenade launcher. I'm assuming it's just a normal wave frame. It doesn't look like it's heavy.
Special ammo.
Yeah, and they have a note. This will be the only obtainable strand wave frame breech loaded grenade launcher as of update 7.35.
Hell yeah!
So, and then
that's exciting.
That is pretty cool for Iron Banner. Yeah, I'm actually kind of interested in that one.
I want that.
And then and of course, being reprised as well as the Multimach SMG, which I know was pretty popular a few seasons ago. So I'm curious with they made a lot of changes to SMGs and stuff since then. So I'm wondering if it's still
I was like
good, but
of course they bring that back after all the SMG stuff happens.
Yeah. So that's so interesting. But that'd be enough for me to maybe be curious about doing some Iron Banner.
I want both of those. Yeah, that's fun.
And then we have we have Nightfall weapons, which there actually is 2 new Nightfall weapons. So we have the Wild Style Grenade Launcher. It is a double fire frame, so it is basically like that one from Spire, like where you shoot the 2. Yep. So it's a solar double fire frame grenade launcher, which is pretty cool. And then you have the Slammer Sword, which is a vortex stasis frame weapon. So that's the only wave vortex stasis sword that's in the game. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So those will be they'll be your 2 new Nightfall weapons, and of course they'll, for Trials and the Nightfall weapons, they will have adept versions of those for those playlists. That's pretty cool. So then they do have the schedule. So March 5th, which is the week this update goes live, that'll have the Wild Styled Grenade Launcher, and its adept version will be featured in the Nightfall. And then week 16 will have the Summoner Auto Rifle and its adept weapon featured, and then week 17 we'll have the Slammer Sword and the Prophet Scout Rifle. And then it looks like Trials is coming back on the week of April 2nd, and that'll be when the Tusk of the Boar Grenade Launcher and the Multimach will be back, or available.
Or Iron Banner.
In Iron Banner, correct.
Cool.
Yeah, and then they go on to say, they show the loot pools now for all of those, and there's a bunch of a ton of weapons to get in those loot pools and stuff. So that's pretty cool, and it seems like they're updating as well in general. It says to account for the length of the season and the upcoming episodes, we will be longer than previous Destiny 2 seasons. We're increasing the Nightfall weapon pool to 8 weapons. The plan is for Trials of Osiris to return to 6 weapons in rotation to allow its adept weapons to have more chances to be featured. Taking into account the weeks of Trials will be disabled, but because they're taking that in. So that's good to know that from now on there's going to be 8 Nightfall weapons, and it looks like there'll be 8 Iron Banner weapons as well. But Trials will be 6. That's cool, but also kind of fearful because that means now we're gonna have 8 Nightfalls to do for Conqueror, and that would make me sad.
Well, but maybe not.
But maybe not. maybe they're just adding more weapons because they can.
Yeah, put more weapons in the rotation. So it's just 8 weeks of potential drops, but still 6.
Yeah, and more chance. Yeah, because the episodes will be longer. So there you go. And then they put Iron Banner dates in here as well. Iron Banner dates before the final shape will, again, April 2nd is the week, and then April 30th, the week of April 30th are the next 2 weeks.
You'll be able to get that wave frame.
2 chances before the final shape. But that'll probably still be around post that too. And then another thing I didn't see here first time, but now I'm reading through this. Also starting on March 5th, players can visit the Eververse store to claim 700 Bright Dust each week, leading up to the launch of Final Shape. So there you go. Let's get all that Bright Dust. I'm gonna be Bright Dust loaded by the time Final Shape. Yeah, because I think I'm like. Even now, I'm at like 40-ish K. So
you gotta hit 100K before Final Shape.
By then, I don't think I'll be hitting that, but maybe I'll be probably well over like 50K by the time.
For sure.
Yeah, he's getting 700
I have
a week.
7,000, and I feel good about it.
Hey, it's 700 a week. That's cool. So and then the last thing was this is when they mentioned the March 5th, the cap for armor. The armor synthesis threader bounties will be reset on March 5th. So you'll be able to just get 10 more, do more. You can just do 10 more. So 10 more of those.
10 more synth weaves.
10 more
each class
synth weaves. That's something to do now through the final shape. So cool. That was that second TWAB. So now we're on current TWAB. I think the most recent one we got.
Was the glimmer cap in any of these?
Yes,
we already cover that?
The glimmer cap has already been raised. So yes, I don't know if we
has it.
I don't know if we cut. Yes, because I was like I said, I've been doing my weekly things. I did it today, and I had over 300K glimmer as of today in my thing. Because I guess it did happen since our last episode. They literally I think they doubled it, right? They doubled it up to
500K now.
You have 500K glimmer now. So there you go.
I remember when it used to be 20K, y'all.
Yeah, it used to be significantly lower. Now
it's insanity. But yeah, that's all right. Go turn in those legendary shards. You got
go turn in them. Yeah, go turn it in. Get all that glimmer, baby. But yeah, there you go. That's that. So we had the 15th, February 15th TWAB. That's the most current TWAB that we had. Again, it goes over just because the Mass Effect armor that is now in the game. As well, also mentioned they have a dance emote, which is the dance, the Commander Shepard dance is also in there.
Shepard dance, which is very good. It's very fun.
That is also included in there. That is for silver, I believe.
Yes,
so you have to buy that if you want it, but it's good. So here we go. We have a tons of ability and we have tons of sandbox ability changes, as well as some big PvP changes. So let's get into this stuff. This is going to be, again, with this 7.3.5 update, which is March 5th, is the date for this. So all the stuff we've just talked about will also be in this update, as well as with these sandbox changes. So they're making some changes to Threaded Spectre. Again, this is mainly going to be targeting PvP, because I've heard this thing is absolutely a menace in PvP, from my understanding.
Yeah, threadlins in particular are becoming more of a problem there.
Gotcha. Okay, so I'll see what they say here on Threaded Spectre and the changes they want to make. Threaded Spectre is currently overperforming in high-level PvP activities, particularly Trials of Osiris. We believe there are 2 core issues that drive this overperformance, so let's talk about each separately. First, uptime on Threaded Spectre is significantly higher than we think is healthy, particularly with the fast cooldown of the Hunter's Dodge combined with the 2 threadling grenade charges granted by Widow's Silk. So I see, like, they make
see how it all
the Spectre, and then you can just make like 8 billion threadlings.
It's like, there's 2 out of Threaded Spectre, and then 3 from each grenade. So that's 8 that you can just make very quickly.
Gotcha.
And that'll kill 2 people easily.
Good lord, that's ridiculous. We're implementing a change that applies the same class ability rating generation penalty to Ensnaring Slam uses when the player creates a Threaded Spectre. But then they also say we don't want this change to have a significant negative impact on Threaded Spectre's performance in PvE. So reducing the duration of the regeneration penalty by 50% when in PvE activities. So there you go. And then in addition, we're increasing the threaded spectre detonation damage versus PvE combatants by 25%, with the goal that while you may be able to create fewer shadow clones overall, each one will be more impactful to compensate. So yeah, okay. I think I use threaded spectre on my hunter for mainly for PvE, but like I don't really do too much. I don't really think about it a lot, to be honest.
Yeah.
But that's because
neat.
I don't really do a lot of PvP stuff, because that seems like that's the main thing here. So sure,
hunter dodge is a problem in PvP. Surprise.
The class that's the always around.
That has the fastest class ability recharge.
Yeah. So threadlings are also getting adjusted. Again, it looks like it's more PvP focused. So I'll just go right to the changes here. They're increasing aim assist shape size from 0.4 to 5. That makes them like basically harder to. They make them
more magnetism.
More magnetism. Reduce base damage versus enemy players from 40 to 35. Damage with Thread of Evolution equipped reduced versus enemy players from 45 to 38.5. So I'm thinking Evolution is just the one that makes Threadlings better, right?
Do more damage.
Yeah.
They travel further and do more damage.
Right. Fixed an issue where groups of Threadlings were not reliably chain detonating when one was destroyed. And fixed issue where Threadlings sometimes did not play their non-damaging destruction performance when destroyed by enemy fire, resulting in them appearing to blip out of existence. It's okay. It's
That's
like
funny.
Updating a visual bug there. And then they say, like, we realize these changes are not localized to Threadrunner. It will also affect Broodweaver potency in the Crucible. To compensate for this, we're pulling some of the other buffs forward they originally planned to ship in the final shape that keep the power of their overall kit in roughly the same place. So with update 7.3.5, we will be increasing Arcane Needle's aim assist and tracking strength, making it significantly more consistent against close to mid-range or fast-moving targets. I'm cool with that. I always most of my Warlock Strand build is centered around like the melee already, so making it better for me, I'm cool with that. They're increasing they're increasing a bunch of the aim assist stuff, and improving the tracking and all that stuff. And I don't think there's much else. Increase the length of the projectile's tracking shape. So yeah, just overall improve tracking and aim assist with it. So cool. Other things, that I figured this is something people have been asking for a while with Restoration and Radiant. There was a number of buggy interactions with timer extensions, most notably the Ember of Empyrean Fragment in combination with Ember of Mercy. We've rebuilt a significant portion of these keyword buffs to store their timer data more safely. So now Restoration and Radiant. Fix an issue where the maximum duration of Restoration and Radiant buffs were being incorrectly stored, resulting in their buff timers were setting to the initial duration instead of their maximum when the buff was reapplied. This also resolves similar issue with the shorter restoration sources like Sunspot with Soul Invictus aspect. So that's good. That was something I don't feel like I don't know if I've ever been super largely affected by. I probably have, just not realized it, to be honest.
Yeah. If you use healing grenades a lot, like this was definitely a big hitter.
Yeah. So this will help a lot with like the uptime of that stuff a little bit. And now that it's restored.
And it changed how Empyrean works like pretty much completely, which is exciting.
Yeah.
At least the timer wise.
Yeah. So Ember of Empyrean increased the maximum duration extension from 12 to 15 seconds, and reworked the duration extensions granted with each solar defeat. So previously it was granted at a 4-second duration extension regardless of the type of target defeated. Now the duration extensions varies based on the strength of the defeated target. Defeating an elite or weaker combatant will result in less time added than in-game currently, but defeating champion or stronger combatants result in a greater extension. So interesting.
Which is cool. I think that's smart.
Yeah. So, I'm cool with that as well. That seems interesting. And then Ember of Mercy also now extends your current restoration duration by 2 seconds. When a fire spread is collected, if you don't already have restoration, Activating collecting a fighter's grants restoration with a 2-second duration. So that's cool. So yeah, it's like a little bit extra on there. Solar ability is getting some buffs, which is cool considering like even though like it's a fully solar season and it already feels pretty strong this year, it's getting more buffs. It's pretty cool. It's not a ton, but it's 2 main ones I think that were needed with like the Titan, the Consecration, which is like the slide hammer melee slam. Oh, it looks super cool, but it's always been one that I'm just like, why would I use this over throwing hammer? So it's like a hard sell. So like them trying to buff that, I will at least give it a shot. And this sounds kind of neat here because they've basically increased the travel distance of the initial ground follow projectile. So basically the projectile that travels along the surface, like thermite grenades, wave, or the close-up grenades. So now it's like has like a further travel distance on the actual kind of fire slam. That slam also has a higher reach, so it can maybe hit some enemies in the air with it, or a little bit enemies that are maybe a little bit higher in the air rather than dodging them. And it also increased the travel speed of it overall, so it's a little faster. So that's cool. Makes it a little bit more improved. So I'm here for that. Gunpowder Gamble for the hunters, which is like the grenade, the special big explosive grenade. You can reactivate the self damage even lower, which is good because again it was always a thing where you'd probably kill yourself with it. And I still liked it a lot, and I will probably actually go back to that soon because that's something I used for a while, but then switched off to just because I felt like I was getting more out of the other aspect because I think you could have more fragments on it or something.
Potentially.
But now this sounds nicer, so I might go back to that just for funsies. Okay, so now we have weapon tuning sandbox. We have Chris Proctor told us a bunch of all these changes. So there's actually a decent amount of stuff here too.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
So there's heavy burst cannons are getting they're having a little bit more aim assist added when hip firing. Looks like bows reduced auto aim fall off as well. So I think that's again some of these are like more PvP targeted as always. So it says they're adding a missing 12th perk to Breakneck, which is target lock.
It was missing the last perk in its
in its fourth column. So yeah, they're adding that. Lightweight scout rifles are getting their damage increased by 5%. I like that because I do like lightweight scout rifles.
Yeah, I love lightweights.
Bust out that trusty again, baby. Sniper rifles getting reduced the auto aim cone zone by 10%. Again, I think that's targeting PvP because again you just have so much range in snipers compared to anything else. So that's fair enough. Rocket launchers, precision rocket launchers are getting increased ammo reserve by 2 and reduced damage penalty from -5 to -10%. I'm trying to remember.
-10 to -5.
Right. Thank you. Precision. I don't honestly remember which ones are precision off the top of my head.
They're the ones with auto tracking. So
okay, cool.
The Palmyra is one.
Yeah, Palmyra is one.
That's the only one I think I can think of right now.
Yeah, that's I don't remember. I'm sure there's a few, so maybe it's
there's a few
worth busting those out. High impacts are also getting that increased ammo reserves by 2, and now deals more detonation damage and less impact for roughly the same total damage. This should make them more effective versus groups, and then getting splash damage on a target with a near miss. This change also affects Deathbringer, Gallahorn, and Truth. So that'll be cool to hear. So that means Gallahorn has 2 more ammos, 2 more rockets. So does Deathbringer. That's pretty cool.
9 galleys without any reserve mods is pretty fun.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, that's gonna be pretty. That's gonna bring that back into play for sure. So that's cool. More heavy grenade launcher changes. I know this is one that's. I'm hoping they can kind of fit these back in like a fun way to like use in like more meaningful content. So they increase reserve ammo by a minimum of 6 rounds, a maximum of 10 rounds, depending on the grenade launcher. They reduce spike grenades impact damage buffed from 50% to 12.5%. With the below changes, this reduces the total spike grenades damage buff from about 8% to 3%, making them less mandatory. I think that's like a fair thing because like it has always been that thing where it's like you want to have spike grenades on it because it's otherwise like what are you doing?
The only good way to play with
play
them,
with them. Yeah. So they're increasing the direct hit impact damage by 10%. Combined with the above change again, this brings non-spike grenade launchers almost up to the level of spike grenade launchers. A very slightly reduced damage output with spike grenade launchers. And increased detonation damage by 5%. And PvP, this is offset by reduction to detonation damage for no overall change. So it's only improving detonation damage in PvE. So that's cool. So that's gonna be. I think that's gonna be a big thing. And like I don't think they didn't mention if exotics were affected by this or not, or if it's just legendary ones. Because that would be nice to get overall. Like Anarchy would be definitely back in play a little bit more if that's getting some more ammunition in the tank potentially.
Yeah, that's true.
That'd be cool.
That would be like undoing that big nerf.
Yeah, a little bit of it. Yeah, for sure. So we'll have to see. That'll be an interesting one to see people maybe mess around with. Heavy wave frame grenade launchers. So basically, one we have.
The one.
Yeah, the one stasis one we have. It's getting increased. It's getting the wave width increased by 40% and it's going to be doing 20% more damage.
I want to see how wide this is.
Yeah, I want to see too. I'm curious how big it is now and how much more damage it's doing. I'm curious about that overall because like it's like such a more niche thing in that slot now compared to other grenade launchers. So making it a little bit more impactful. I don't remember what it's called. I know it's like the Stasis Lightfall one, but
yeah, it's the Lightfall one from Stasis Neomuna, but I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? And then
dimensional hypotrochoid.
Sure,
really rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, it's a very memorable name for a weapon for sure. But yeah, that's that one. Caster swords are also getting some buffs here. They're getting their energy. They're getting their heavy attack energy cost reduced from 5 to 4, and it's also increasing the attack damage by 16th. Caster swords are the only swords that have range attacks for now, as I also mentioned in the little thing. So maybe we're gonna get like a new type of sword.
The Master Sword is coming to Destiny.
Man, that'd be so fucking sick.
Actually,
I mean, there are exotic sword. There's that one exotic sword that has like a energy.
Yeah, Black Talon.
That has like that little blast.
Why did I know that?
Which is cool, but yeah, having more that have that. Yes, I mean the fuck up. I'm totally down for like fucking shooting energy blast out of my swords and shit.
Yeah. Works for glaives.
Yeah, works for glaives, totally. So next up after those, we have a bunch of exotic specific changes. Vigilance Wing is now going to have a deterministic recoil pattern because that's going to make it more viable in PvP. Vexmith class is getting increased aimed on sight damage fall off scalar from 1.5 to 1.75.
That's good. Again,
PvP, be a more PvP thing. Again, I think a lot of these are very PvP focused. Wish Ender is getting its true sight. Will now deactivate if you aim down sights or hold it longer for than 3 seconds. To reactivate, you must redraw the bow. So again, I think it's like a PvP thing because like otherwise you could just sit there and indefinitely do that in PvE, and I could see or PvP and having like what is that like a wall hacks basically.
Yeah,
so
I can't believe this took so long, to be honest.
Edge of Action, which is the Titan glaive that makes the little bubble. They're increasing. Yeah, they basically are kind of reverting a little bit of the health nerf that they gave it before. So they're making it a little bit more durable in PvE. They're making it have damage resistance in PvE against all combatants, 6 bosses, to 85% and increases damage resistance against bosses to 15%. So basically just making it a little bit more durable than it was in PvE. So that's good.
Yeah.
Manticore is getting a bunch of changes because it has a lot of weird stuff with its floating and flying around. Players must now be airborne for 0.5 seconds to deal damage with the weapon to activate the perk. This prevents accidental activation while running down the stairs or doing small jumps. We gave it a special reload to quickly disengage anti-gravity thrusters. Swapping weapons will continue to disengage as well. Terabot also receives a special reload animation, so it's basically like I still have not gotten Terabot, so I guess it has like a activating reload mode that you can kind of cancel out of.
When you turn on Feed the Beast, I imagine when you turn off Feed the Beast, like it'll be some kind of like deactivation animation.
Yeah. While anti-gravity thrusters are engaged, combatants will be less accurate when targeting the player, similar to the always-on-time Sparrow. Interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, if there is maybe like a buff for one of the subclasses that can play with this idea as well. But that's what they're experimenting with, you know?
Yeah, that's a cool idea. And for a while. With the Catalyst, Final Blows, and sustained damage with Manticore while airborne, grant a void overshield and return ammo to the magazine. That's pretty cool. I like that.
Very cool.
Yeah. Airborne kills, getting void overshield. I'm for it. And then lastly, the X-Dirus, which was the like Boomer Knight like grenade launcher they launched last season, which is pretty cool, but I think it was kind of just like, I kind of feel like I played with it a little bit, got the Catalyst, and was like, okay, done, and then like never had it where like now some of these buffs though sound pretty cool, so I might pull it out again. They're increasing the impact damage against PvE enemies by 50%, and the detonation damage is unaffected, so the total damage increase works out to be around 20%, varying by target type, and increasing maximum rate of fire by 17%. So it's going to be firing.
That's exciting, actually.
It's going to be firing like way faster, and on top of how already fast it could fire when you like got the thing ramped up and were amplified and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I'd be interested to see how that feels after this stuff. All right, tons of perk changes as well. We're getting Heal Clip now grants Cure ×2 to the player while still granting Cure ×1 to nearby allies. So that's cool.
This is awesome.
Yeah, I'm hoping that definitely makes the Cure Heal Clip feel a little bit more worthwhile, because that was definitely like a cool concept, right? But never like it did not feel like it was that potent enough to be worthwhile.
The potency came from like procking Ember of Benevolence, right? Like, and you getting your class ability recharge going after healing allies. But now it's like, oh, this is a good heal.
Yeah, this could be worth it. So that's cool. Next up, we have Trench Barrel can now be activated by dealing damage with a ranged melee attack. So okay, there you go. That could be useful, I guess. I'm not much of a shotgun person, so I'm sitting here being like, okay, yeah. Barrel Constrictor, once activated, it no longer deactivates upon firing a shot. It lasts for 7.5 seconds, and it buffs all shots fired during that time. Enhanced Barrel Constrictor lasts for 8.5 seconds. So there you go. I honestly don't remember fully what Barrel Constrictor does, because again, not much of a shotgun.
The spread of like your next 2 shots tighter. This changes it to a timer,
right? So now it's just
a limit of shots. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. I'd be curious if people use that a lot for like DPS or anything.
Yeah.
Now, but who knows? Loose Change is they're saying it's strong in a PvE subclass build, but isn't particularly interesting in PvP. So now they're making it so applying a subclass 3.0 debuff now grants plus 20 aim assist stat and 20% reduced aim down speed movement speed penalty, in addition to the existing 50 plus reload stat. So basically, applying another debuff now refreshes the duration. It's basically just applying a subclass debuff. Activates that. So that's interesting, I guess. That's another one I did not really use. I have not used a whole lot.
Yeah, me either.
This one, however, I am much more interested in, which is Dual Loader. Takes up a trait slot, which is a sufficient enough cost that doesn't need a penalty. The wording also locked it to shotguns when there are other continuous reload weapons in the game. They already load more than 1 round at a time. So Dual Loader,
specifically the bolt action rifles, the Tex Mechanica weapons,
right? So Dual Loader is removed the reload speed penalty, and changed the wording of the perk description to make it clear that it increases the number of shots reloaded. So it now apply it to other weapon types without confusion in the future. Hint, hint, wink, wink, say no more.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I'm down to see more dual loader stuff, and that seems like a cool perk now to have, because it's now it doesn't completely tank your reload speed. So next up, where they're updating the text to balance stock, which is these are all origin traits. So these are the origin traits on the those Spire weapons. I don't know if have they come to more weapons yet, or I don't think they have yet.
The only one that's gotten
stock.
this has been the one ritual weapon for not Season of the Witch. I think Season of the Deep, which was also like the bolt action.
Yeah, it was like
rifle.
it was like the base, like it looked exactly like the scout rifle from this dungeon, more or less.
Yeah.
Okay, so this now grants plus 20 range and plus 1.5 degree hipfire precision cone angle, in addition to its other effects, making it easier to land follow-up crits with hipfire. So that'll be interesting. Let's see, and then
just what's the really bad origin trait from this season? It's the dungeon one.
The dungeon one.
The deconstruct thing that like does more.
Yeah.
They just got to fix that now, and I think they're good.
Yeah, I think you're right. They're updating the Hockey Breach armor. Oh, this is going for Hockey Breach armaments deconstruct and sundering. So there you go. This now works against Void Souls, Strand clones, Cabal projection shields, and Briggs. So there you go. They're going to be doing a little bit more damage to those things. That's cool.
That's good.
On top of that, Hockey Breach ornaments is also getting bonus damage versus stasis crystals reduced from 85% to 60% to match other constructs. So there you go.
Makes sense.
Sundering can now trigger on shield break. In addition to final blows on vehicles and constructs, we added a small reload speed scaler while reducing the charge rate benefit to account for the higher uptime. So there you go.
I missed this. Okay, that makes sense.
So there you go. So there's that's Sundering is the Warlord's Ruin dungeon one. So there you go. That's cool. Hatchling is getting updated. Its activation requirements are no longer locked to the archetype in terms of precision or non-precision kills. Instead, the perk will trigger with either a precision kill or 3 non-precision kills. So there you go. More hatchlings.
Cool. That's great.
Across the board. Yeah. And target lock now activates later in the magazine for SMGs. I figured that was going to happen. It's at 20% of the magazine instead of 12.5. So the damage buff will swing primary weapon gunfights less often. So there you go. I knew that was target lock was a very potent thing on SMGs. I imagine
very specifically on one SMG. I guess like there is another one. There's the Stasis Crucible one that you can get.
Yeah.
There's a slight problem on, but this is like such a specific nerf. I love it.
Yeah. Envious Assassin is getting hit as well. Each activation is now capped at 100% of magazine size instead of 150. The maximum overflow is now 3 times the magazine instead of 4 times the magazine.
Damn.
So, I think
good while it lasted.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think like they say it here. It says because of the evolved the grenade launcher reserves updates buffs. Like this is kind of offsetting that a little bit. So I don't really think this will affect. Like I don't think it'll affect rockets. Because that's like the main thing I use it on. So
yeah, there are some special weapons that I use it on. Some fusion rifles that it's great on, but it's still good. It's still better than it was for sure.
Yeah, and then bait and switch is also getting it's going from 35% to 30%. So not like a massive nerf. Like again, but I get it. I think it has been like a pretty go-to DPS thing for a little bit. So that's fine.
One of the best perks in the game, just like conceptually and damage wise. So I get it.
And they're doing 2 additional fixes to 1-2 punch and deconstruct. So 1-2 punch is now correctly deactivates after dealing damage with a powered melee, and deconstruct is getting updated. The perk description to correctly state that it pulls ammo from thin air, not reserves, and fixed a bug preventing the perk from triggering when shooting an enemy Titan barricade and similar targets. So there you go. Yep. Mods bonus damage against mini bosses should have been part of boss spec not major spec. So we've updated these mods to correct that. So there you go. And then
That's champions, right? That
yeah,
definitely
so that
affects
grew.
champions.
So now boss spec will now.
Those big ones just got better.
Yeah, let's go. So in the future, we've pulled a lot of balance changes from the final shape and Destiny 2 into the light into update 7.3.5, but we'll still have a number of small but exciting changes shipping into the light, touching content many players haven't thought about in several years.
What does it mean?
What does that mean? I mean,
we don't know yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm kind of maybe guessing one thing will be maybe what's that free to play thing, 6-player thing that came with 30th?
Dares of Eternity.
Dares of Eternity. That's what I was thinking of. But man, what if they actually did do things with Gambit? Holy shit, what the fuck?
Right, what a wild idea that is.
I don't
Notice how they didn't move up returning the Dreaming City Gambit
that,
map. That wasn't a priority.
That was not a priority. Hey, and I get it. That doesn't need to be. Let's just not keep not caring about Gambit, I say. In the final shape, we're balancing many weapon types in PvE, buffing underperforming weapons and leaving most high performers untouched. Since we're looking at PvE weapon tuning anyway, over the course of the year of the final shape, we're looking at weapon mods that feel mandatory, and we intend to make some changes that will increase player choice, particularly in PvE. We're also making substantial changes to several of the least used exotic weapons. We see a lot of requests for these. See if you can guess which exotics we touched. And adjusting some perks, including a long requested change to chill clip, making it more viable to use on slower firing weapons. So that's I'm down for that as well.
Yeah, same. I miss my Deliverance. It used to be so good, but now it's not as good.
Yeah, agreed. You can look forward to being able to enhance more weapons, many more weapons. I'll be back with more information once on weapon enhancement soon.
Yeah, that's got to be Depth Nightfall and Trial Weapons at least, but it sounds like it's going to be more than that.
Yeah, because I want to say at some point last year, I don't remember exactly when it was. It's been a while, but I remember they saying they could you would be able to take essentially a world drop and make it crafted or whatever.
It was when Root got the upgrade,
right?
The Adept upgrade.
Yeah, so maybe
summer,
Yeah, so that was probably. Yes, they probably have maybe made more changes about how they want to go about that. But yeah, I'm very curious about that too. Weapon enhancement, that could be really cool, depending on what it is.
They said leaving most high performers untouched, which means there are going to be some nerfs. So just Strand Titan is not going to be what it is when the final
Strand Titan, Strand Titan and Solar and Well of Radiance Warlock are probably still going to be.
We know the Well nerf is coming,
right?
Strand Titan is going to get nerfed before that raid comes out. I'm sorry, you guys.
Yeah, probably.
At least enjoy it for this extra long season.
Yeah, you've got it. We've got it for 4 more months, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, let's see. Now it's time for PvP stuff.
You want me to handle this?
Yeah, you can handle the PvP stuff and talk about what you want to talk about with PvP. But this is like a pretty big fundamental. This could be a pretty big fundamental change to the PvP going ahead. So
yeah,
take it away.
In my head, this is kind of like Crucible 3.0 type deal.
Yeah.
Remember when Crucible was 4v4 also? Just think about that. Think about how far we've come.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So this is from the PvP Strike team, and I'll read the top part here because I think it's important. Our base Crucible sandbox currently faces a number of issues. What we'll talk about here today represents a large macro pass designed to begin to address several of these concerns and will be followed by additional micro-tuning in the future. The symptoms of these issues affect players across the skill spectrum from 2,000-hour veterans to new lights, so it's important that we begin to address them as best we can. Let's identify our goals, what the symptoms are in terms of how our gameplay is affected, and then we can discuss the root causes of the corresponding changes. So the goals are number one, help players to more clearly understand the sequence of events that led to their death so they can more easily learn how to improve. Number two, alter the weapons sandbox to account for the increased average skill of our player base by reducing the amount of high reward low risk options. And number 3, encourage primary weapon mastery to be an aspirational pursuit for players. All this is good stuff. We don't necessarily have to go into every specific bit because there's a lot here.
Yeah, it's pretty dense.
But they bring up like really, really specific examples, like the time to kill on SMGs, peak shooting with hand cannons, or blinting with bows and stuff like that. And they even reference the Wishender, not Wishender, Wishender nerf, the True Sight nerf and stuff like that. And then they bring up these as the symptoms that are causing the problems. These symptoms are all generated by a handful of root causes, each generally linked to the others in the cycle of balance that encourages us to touch all of them at once if we're making big changes, or in smaller increments if we're modifying things individually. We have certain ability builds with either higher uptime or higher potency than we believe is healthy. To keep those builds in check, we've provided a near constant availability of special ammo, which means that there's always a surplus of one-shot kill weapons on the field. And to keep primary weapons competitive, we've made primary weapons feel highly lethal, fast killing, and in general, very forgiving. And all that leads to a high percentage of deaths in our sandbox, where from the target's perspective, it feels like there was nothing they could have done differently. And all this is good. Like, I think this is all very, very true. So these are kind of like the general big changes. So the first is player health. Player health will be increased by 30 HP in base Crucible. So players will have 100 health, up from 70, and then 116 to 130 shields, depending on the player's resilience values. So that's now a max health used to be 200. Now it is, or 201, depending how you interpreted some numbers. Now it is 230. Which doesn't seem significant, but with some of the other things, it's going to be pretty significant. Melee grenade, the other's ability cooldowns. Melee, grenade, and class ability cooldowns now have a 15% penalty applied to them in Crucible only. So everything's slower, just across the board in Crucible, which is big. And super cooldowns now have a 20% penalty applied to them in Crucible only. I mean, that's going to have a very, very deep effect on things like Trials of Osiris in particular, where it's already very difficult to get a super unless you have either 100 intellect or running one of those like fast tier supers.
Yeah. I think that's like the only thing I saw people were like definitely a little bit more worried about, was because you think about the tiers and like what are like the lowest tiers or things like Well of Radiance and like those like supercharged, like those faster tier supers are gonna feel like maybe much stronger in this by default because of that across the board penalty.
Yeah,
but we'll have
like
to
generally things like roaming supers that have that tier 5 that are the longest cooldowns, like you will just never see them in trials, things like that, like just ever, because you will never get it, even if you're popping off. I just feel like that is what this is saying in a way. Which is, there's something to consider there for sure.
Right.
To compensate for that, supers are going to do more damage, melees are going to do more damage. The arc flux grenade specifically will do more damage, which is interesting, right? Like the arc flux is the sticky grenade on arc. And that's like you get a stick, it's a one-hit kill for sure, no matter what. But like every other grenade isn't getting more damage. So with more health, like you can see how this is already starting to trickle down of like, okay, zoning grenades are now much less useful in like active play if you're only going to get one a lot less frequently, things like that.
Right.
Primary weapon archetypes have been adjusted to compensate for the more health, right? Increased critical hit on pulse, autos, sidearms, and scouts by 14%. Hand cannons increased critical hit damage by 10%, reduced body shot damage by 5%. SMGs increased critical hit damage by 12.5%, reduced body shot damage by 3%, and bows just reduced base damage by 15%. So bows are just getting tanked because I think they are trying to reduce blinting and bow swaps just like completely, basically. And all these adjustments are to make it so the optimal time to kill is still possible with all these weapons, but you have to land headshots. Like the the big thing, and Cool Guy had a great video. A lot of the PvP Destiny YouTubers have great videos on this
Right.
that are probably more insightful than I will bring to you, but I love the numbers. So, like, a way to think of it is the hand cannon, the 140 hand cannon, the standard hand cannon has always been a 2 crit, so 2 headshots, and then 1 body shot for cleanup on any resilience, always. Now, on any resilience, that will never kill, ever, even if you have 1 resilience. You need to land 3 crits instead. So, like, that gives you, in my head, like, that is the shift, that how minor of a shift that they're trying to make it feel of, like, okay, if you want those, like, really fast, satisfying 3-shot kills with a hand cannon, one of those kind of infamous touchstones of Destiny PvP, now you have to land all headshots.
Right.
And that is, like, how they are adding a little bit of forgiveness to the sandbox of, like, that body shot will now no longer clean up, and you have a person that maybe has a bit more time to react and a bit more leeway, or a person that has to be more on their game in order to get that same result.
Right.
That is, like, I think, a good example of that's indicative of the bigger shift that they're trying to make in Crucible of, like, tightening things to the high skill players a little bit to make it harder for them to perform at that same optimal level they have been, while making it a little bit less stressful for everyone else that's just, like, jumping into Crucible once or twice a week for fun, so that way they don't feel like they're just getting trashed on by as
Right.
many players. Because, like, these guns have big aim assist, like, tons and tons of aim assist that make these guns super fun to shoot, but, like, way easy to use in a way that's maybe detrimental to the skill gap, the
Right.
overall gap. And then the other thing is they're incorporating the special ammo meter from Checkmate, which I have not gotten the chance to play much Checkmate,
I've
unfortunately.
not played it at all.
But effectively, you start with two kills worth of special ammo anytime you spawn in Crucible. Now you won't drop special ammo when you die ever, and you won't lose that ammo when you die. You'll lose it when you use it, and that's it. And the way you get special ammo is by building points, in which there's a little meter on the side that'll give you another 2 kills of special ammo once you fill it. And now those points are going to be different across different game modes. So, like, in like a standard control game, like, kills will get you 23 points. You need 100 to get your 2 kills worth of ammo. Assists give you 10. Deaths give you 10. Things like that. So you kind of accumulate it. I like the call out here is, like, in Countdown, which is the bomb, like the search and destroy mode, only playing the objective gives you special ammo, which is interesting,
Yeah.
right? Like, you can't own the battlefield by just killing and stuff. You have to get special ammo, and getting kills with your special or heavy weapons doesn't give you any of these points. But there's, different variables and numbers for each game mode, which I think is good. And I'm sure these are the types of things that they're talking about, of, like, macro adjustments that are going to happen.
Yeah.
And then, they talked about the damage changes to special weapons to make them keep up, specifically things like glaives and trace rifles that already were longer time to kill stuff. Like, sniper's still going to kill in 1 headshot. Shotgun's still going to kill at point blank range. Those things aren't going to change. And they adjusted those outlier exotic weapons like Fighting Lion, so you can't, like, game the system.
Right.
So generally, like, a lot of things that are going to be big changes. I think that summarizes it for the most part. But this is like a feel situation where it's like, I gotta feel this to know if I'm gonna like this.
Yeah, if I'm gonna like this, yeah. I think it's gonna be a lot for a lot of people, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a subset of people that are gonna like, I don't like this because it's different. I encourage them to play more. I'm looking forward to it. Like, I like Crucible from time to time. It is definitely one of those things where it's like, the broken shit is just too broken. And the people that know to play the numbers, which is the game, to be fair, like, are just not super fun to play against, especially if they're quite good. I think these changes are good. I think this is going to be an exciting they at least know what the problems are, right? So if this
Right.
doesn't solve it, they're going to keep working on it. And the thing I wanted to say, like above all, like this section when I read it, because it totally blindsided me. I was so not ready for this to like drop in 2 weeks. Also, which is
Yeah.
crazy.
Right.
Is like this comes from like a passionate place. Like there is now a group of people that are really passionate about Crucible. Like that's what this read to me as,
Right.
and that's good. That can only be a good thing for the game, even if you're someone who thinks they know everything and is reading this and think they can make Crucible better than this. Like, give it a shot is what I'd say. Like people that care are working on it, at least now. If they weren't for the last 18 months, or if there wasn't as much attention there. And that's good. And I think that is a good thing for the game,
Right.
a good thing for long-term Crucible. I think this is going to make it a little bit chiller for people to jump in and just have fun, and make it less stressful and shitty for players that don't have as much good loot. Like this way, you can grab your blue 140 hand cannon and land 3 headshots and feel good about yourself, right? Like, I think that's good. So, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious of how it was because it is such a large shift, and like, they are kind of doing the thing that like people have like wanted them to do, and like really splitting the PvP and the PvE like sandbox apart by like now they're straight up just changing timed. They're straight like changing health values from the base game. They're changing, like ability uptimes and cooldowns. Like they're going the mile. So like I'm curious to see. I'm curious to see what it does and what it affects. I'm sure, like you said, there'll be people who like it, and then of course there'll be people who like, on their high horse, like, oh, Destiny, like, say whatever they want to say about it. I'm one thing I will say though is like, I don't know. What I'm most curious about is like what you brought up about saying it'll hopefully be better for folks. But like, I also could see this potentially making it even more confusing to some people, just because it's like, all right, now I need to know this meter. There's this meter for this particular type of ammo type that like is different in this different game modes, and then also like there's different values for these different things. So maybe it's again, I've said this is coming from just I've not played Checkmate, so like maybe this stuff is presented fine enough in game for that kind of stuff and will make sense to people. But I could see like some of these changes maybe making it not maybe like less like as like an average player like a little bit more manageable, but like to somebody completely new being like, what the hell is going on in this? Like I could still see that could be a little bit tricky to some people, but I guess at the end of the day, like the Strike Team I think was made to make Destiny PvP for Destiny PvP fans, and they're going really in on that. So that's I think that's something to remember about it too, right? So
what I'll say is like putting that special ammo meter on the screen is telling everybody that this shit is important, that you should that you should have one of these, right? Like, and that conveys to newbies and folks like a little bit more clearly of like, this is why some of these people are rolling the field right now. And you can't use this all the time anymore. And I do generally agree with the sentiment of like, I don't want to go back to Destiny 1 where it was special ammo crates just spruced throughout the map.
Yeah.
Because, then you get the map rotation folks that just do the rotation and run the game that way. And I hated that. That's why I never played PvP in D1, amongst other reasons. But yeah, I'm with you. It's like there's a lot of maybes or potential of this backfiring or just not being as clear as they want it to be.
Right.
So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, definitely a feels vibe, but I don't know if I'll necessarily play myself as somebody who's still just kind of like whatever on PvP, but
you'll be an Iron Banner though, and you'll get a taste of it, right?
Yeah,
so.
More than likely, whenever Iron Banner pops up again and those new weapons are in, that would probably be the moment that I'd be like, okay, yeah, let me try it and then I'll probably have that moment being like, oh yeah, that's right, they completely changed a bunch of shit. Let me get used to this again. What the fuck? And that's probably more what's going to happen to me at least.
Totally, and note that like. Iron Banner doesn't happen until April. This patch comes out in March, right? Like they know that they need to give a little space for this, for something like that, where more people are going to show up for just the 6v6. So yeah, I like my hope baseline is just like when that week rolls around, it's just a good time again. It's not, it's like dumb fun again, as opposed to like the I got to do fucking 6 hours of this to gild the title or whatever, you know.
Sure, yeah, yeah, and I'm sure like there'll be a lot of content creators' thoughts and feelings when that stuff all drops. So I'll probably make more of an effort to look into that stuff for sure and see what people are thinking about these changes. So, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see for that kind of stuff. And hey, there'll be a bunch of Destiny stuff going on in March, it seems, because we'll have this like, I guess you could kind of call it like a big mid-season update. To an extent,
Guardian games.
Yeah, then Guardian games, I believe, starts in March, and then Into the Light is not too soon after that. So like we're already, right. That is May. But what's something's in April though, right? What's in April?
April is the new gameplay updates for the Final Shape, which
right?
I assume is going to like lead into the Light, and then May is also the Crucible map pack. So
right,
like,
that's what I was trying to remember when that was. I don't know if it was April or May.
There's a lot of PvP stuff happening in the next couple months.
Yeah, that's fair.
More than has happened in a while.
Yeah, right.
So like, I don't know, that like this into that gets me excited in a way that I haven't been, and hopeful for the people that actually give way more of a shit than I do. Right.
Yeah, for the PvP stuff. Yeah, for sure. And I'm hopeful that like at least it gives people them like a renewed enjoyment for that stuff, at least for now. And like again, talking, I will say like maybe a little bit selfishly here, is like I'm glad they're doing all this for those people who like that part of the Destiny game. But I'm hoping once they figure this stuff out, they go to like strikes or something and do a very similar approach and kind of do like get like a dedicated team to like kind of reinvigorate something like that. Or, what something we talked about last episode was like stuff we would love to see, like having like a new core activity that like maybe like can like maybe is PvE, more PvE focused and can stand alongside strikes to like, kind of alleviate having to do so much of that.
My concern, Mike, and the reason I'm giggling right now is like the second finger of the monkey paw curls in and it becomes a Gambit strike team, and that's 100% focus.
You know what? That could happen.
But like, if it got this level of attention, right? Like maybe it could be good. We'll have to see how this goes, right? Like this, the tone of this and how it's received is like going to determine all of how we feel about all that. So we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. We'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, I think we're all caught up on Destiny news, I believe now. We've caught up on everything that's been going down in the world of Destiny for now.
Just in time for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth to come out.
Just in time for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And I briefly looked at my phone while you're talking about some of that and saw some news that would very much excite you, so it's not Destiny related, but I want to get your reaction to it. Yeah, and that is Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree gameplay reveal trailer tomorrow, or February 21st, which is tomorrow, the day after the recording, 7 a.m. Pacific time, so 10 a.m. our time. Fuck yeah, right?
I gotta go tell Damien right now.
So holy literally gonna get the direct and then go right into that. So that's pretty cool.
What a good day.
So that's pretty exciting, right? So yeah,
wow, that is so exciting.
A lot of video game news and things to talk about. So, and I will say, if you're watching this and like our stuff, about Irrational Passions, our main channel, we'll have some thoughts. We'll have a Nintendo Land soon, another episode of that soon, talking about the news and the direct. Maybe we can talk about that Shadow, depending on what they show on that DLC thing. We can maybe talk about that in some shape or form as well. That'd be fun.
We'll talk about Microsoft selling their soul to Nintendo. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, that's right. Selling their soul to Nintendo by just putting Hi-Fi Rush on their thing. That's like the one
tamest thing.
The tamest thing they could do.
And Pentiment. Oh no.
Yeah, Xbox is finished. Because Pentiment is on Nintendo Switch. God.
And grounded.
Tim Dog in shambles over there. Whoever the fuck that was. Person I didn't know existed till 2 weeks ago or whatever. Good Lord.
God. Roasted.
But we'll be, some of that, we'll maybe talk about some of that stuff on our main channel here. But yeah, we'll be back. Mm-hmm. We'll probably be back. We'll let the madness of March happen with when the World of Destiny, and maybe once, I'm sure that they'll have some more Destiny news coming in March as we get closer to like some of the bigger stuff happening, obviously in April and May with Into the Light and the map pack. So yeah, I'm sure we'll be back in March at some point with another episode, but probably be a couple.
100%.
Once again, I think we had a bit of a split between this episode and the last one just because of the similar reasons. But yeah, we'll be back in the future to talk all that stuff. So thanks everybody as always for listening or hanging out, watching us here on Helm the Tower podcast. Thanks everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.